Have you ever wondered why, in a universe composed of seemingly lifeless particles, you possess the capacity to close your eyes, drift into the quiet darkness of your own mind, and truly experience the profound sensation of simply being alive? We navigate our days under the comforting illusion that the world around us is solid, predictable, and entirely separate from the observing eye that perceives it. You look up at the night sky, feeling the ancient starlight softly resting upon your skin, and you assume that you are merely a fleeting passenger on a vast, indifferent stage. But what if the very act of your observation is intimately woven into the fabric of reality itself? What if the boundary between the observer and the observed, between life and the infinite silence that follows, is not a solid wall, but a fragile, shimmering veil that quantum mechanics is only just beginning to pull back? The universe is not a collection of objects in a void. It is a symphony of relationships, a delicate dance of probabilities where your consciousness might play a role far more fundamental than we ever dared to imagine. As we embark on this quiet journey together, delving into the deepest mysteries of quantum theory, I invite you to leave behind the familiar certainties of the everyday world and open your mind to a reality that is far stranger, far more beautiful, and perhaps, in its own gentle way, deeply unsettling. Hello, I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply grateful that you have chosen to join me in this space of quiet contemplation. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these videos and share in our cosmic curiosity have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and value in these gentle explorations of the cosmos, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together. Now, let us return to the gentle dark of the unknown, where the most profound secrets of existence lie waiting to be gently uncovered. For centuries, humanity has looked upon the transition we call death with a mixture of fear, reverence, and absolute certainty. We have treated it as the ultimate end, the final period at the close of a long and complex sentence. In the classical view of physics, championed by brilliant minds like Isaac Newton, the universe was envisioned as a giant, predictable clockwork mechanism. In this mechanical cosmos, every star, every planet, every grain of sand, and every human being was merely a collection of physical matter governed by strict, unyielding laws of cause and effect. You were born. Your biological clock began to tick. And eventually, like all complex machinery, it would inevitably wind down and stop. Consciousness, in this traditional paradigm, was seen merely as a temporary byproduct of biological processes, a fragile flame that would simply be extinguished when the candle of the physical body finally burned away. Once the flame was gone, only the cold, vast darkness remained. It is a stark, lonely perspective that leaves us feeling profoundly isolated in the grand scheme of the cosmos. Yet, this rigid, mechanical view of reality began to fracture and dissolve at the dawn of the 20th century, when scientists began to peer deeper into the fundamental nature of matter and light. When we zoom in past the familiar world of everyday objects, past the cells in your body, past the molecules and the atoms, we enter a realm that defies all human intuition. This is the quantum realm, a subatomic landscape where the rules of classical physics simply cease to apply. In this microscopic world, particles do not behave like tiny billiard balls bouncing off one another. Instead, they exist in a state of continuous, fluid possibility. Imagine a single particle of light, a photon, emitted from a distant star millions of years ago, traveling across the infinite stretches of the cosmos to finally meet your observing eye. According to quantum mechanics, until that photon is actually observed, it does not possess a definite, singular position. It exists merely as a wave of probability, a mathematical ghost that simultaneously occupies multiple places at once. This concept, known as quantum superposition, is not merely a theoretical quirk dreamed up on a chalkboard. It has been rigorously tested and verified in laboratories around the world for nearly 100 years, fundamentally altering our understanding of what it means to exist. Perhaps the most famous demonstration of this principle is the double-slit experiment, a cornerstone of quantum physics that continues to baffle the brightest minds on our planet. Imagine a completely dark room, silent and still. In the center of this room, we place a barrier with two tiny parallel slits cut into it. Behind this barrier sits a sensitive screen designed to record the impact of whatever we shoot at it. If we were to fire solid objects, like tiny grains of sand, through these slits, we would expect to see two corresponding bands of impacts on the back screen. This is how the macroscopic world works. It is logical, predictable, and reassuringly solid. But when scientists fire individual electrons or photons through this apparatus, something entirely different and deeply mysterious happens. When these particles are fired one by one, with absolute precision, they do not form two simple bands. Instead, over time, as thousands of individual particles strike the screen, they build up an interference pattern, a complex series of alternating light and dark stripes that is the unmistakable signature of intersecting waves. This interference pattern suggests something almost impossible for the human brain to comprehend. Each individual particle, fired absolutely alone into the silent darkness, is somehow passing through both slits simultaneously, interfering with itself, and only deciding where to land on the screen at the exact moment of impact. It is as if the particle is exploring every possible path through the universe at the exact same time, suspended in a state of pure, boundless potential. But the true mystery, the revelation that sends a quiet shiver down the spine of anyone who truly ponders it, occurs when scientists attempt to place a measuring device at the slits to see exactly which path the particle takes. The very moment they attempt to observe the particle's journey, the interference pattern completely vanishes. The wave of pure possibility instantly collapses, and the particles begin acting like solid, predictable little stones once again, forming just two simple bands on the back screen. The gentle act of observation, the mere presence of a conscious measurement, forces the universe to make a choice, collapsing the infinite wave of potential into a single, definitive, concrete reality. Think deeply about what this implies for a moment. It suggests that the observer is not separate from the reality they are observing. The conscious act of looking, of knowing, is somehow intimately entangled with the physical manifestation of the universe itself. As the great physicist John Archibald Wheeler once profoundly proposed, we might be living in a participatory universe, a cosmos that literally requires the presence of conscious observers to render its wave functions into solid reality. If the fundamental building blocks of reality only snap into existence when they are observed, then consciousness cannot merely be a late-stage evolutionary accident, a fleeting byproduct of carbon-based chemistry that arose on a tiny blue planet after billions of years of dead silence. Instead, consciousness might be a fundamental, foundational property of the cosmos, as elemental and deeply woven into the fabric of reality as gravity, space, and time themselves. This realization gently shakes the foundations of how we perceive our existence and our inevitable end. Are you merely a body, or are you the observing awareness that collapses the quantum wave? If our conscious awareness is intimately tied to the collapse of the quantum wave function, if the observer and the observed are essentially two sides of the same cosmic coin, then the concept of death as a simple extinguishing of the light becomes highly problematic within the framework of quantum mechanics. When the physical body ceases to function, the biological mechanisms halt. But what happens to the observing presence? Can the fundamental fabric of observation simply vanish from a universe that seems to require it to function? In the quiet stillness of the night, as you contemplate the vastness of the cosmos stretching out for billions of light years in every direction, consider the profound words of the legendary astronomer Carl Sagan, who reminded us that we are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. If we are indeed the universe experiencing itself, then perhaps the localized physical event we call death is not an absolute end. Perhaps it is a radical shift in perspective, a majestic return to the infinite wave of pure possibility from which we temporarily emerged. This is the threshold we stand upon tonight, looking into the deep cosmic ocean, wondering what happens when the wave returns to the sea. As we continue this quiet journey together, I want you to take a gentle moment to simply breathe in the silence that surrounds you. Let the heavy burdens of your daily life softly fall away just for now. Close your eyes and imagine the vast, endless expanse of the cosmos stretching out in every conceivable direction, an infinite ocean of darkness punctuated by the brilliant, ancient light of 1,000,000,000,000 distant suns. In our everyday waking lives, we are completely and utterly bound by the concepts of distance, boundaries, and separation. We feel the solid ground beneath our feet, we measure the miles between our homes and our loved ones, and we perceive a clear, undeniable distinction between where our physical bodies end and where the rest of the world begins. When we look up at the ancient stars twinkling in the deep, quiet velvet of the night sky, we feel a profound sense of physical distance. We are here, anchored to this tiny, fragile blue world, and they are out there, burning silently across millions of light years of empty, freezing space. This feeling of separation is so deeply woven into the very fabric of human experience that it shapes our entire worldview, including our deepest fears about what happens when our biological clocks finally stop ticking. We fear the silence of death because we perceive it as the ultimate separation, the final, unbridgeable distance between ourselves and the warmth of existence. Hello once again, I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply grateful that you are continuing this quiet exploration with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and value in these gentle explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together. Now, let us gently return to the comforting dark of the unknown. The quantum universe holds a mystery so profound, so entirely counterintuitive, that it challenged and even frustrated the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century. It is a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement, a concept that completely shatters our fundamental human understanding of space, distance, and perhaps even the very nature of isolation itself. Imagine, if you will, two subatomic particles being born from the exact same physical event, perhaps the gentle decay of a single atom, Because they share this single unified origin, these two tiny fragments of reality become inextricably linked. They enter a shared quantum state, where the physical properties of one particle are perfectly and completely correlated with the properties of the other. If you measure the magnetic spin of the first particle and find it pointing upward, you will instantly know that the second particle is spinning downward. They are like two cosmic dancers executing a flawless, mirrored choreography in perfect unison. This might not sound particularly terrifying or revolutionary at first glance, until you gently pull these two particles apart. Imagine taking one of these entangled particles and leaving it here on Earth in a quiet, dark laboratory. Now, imagine taking its partner and sending it on a long, solitary journey across the cosmos, all the way to the very center of the Andromeda Galaxy, located roughly 2.5 million light-years away from us. According to the strict, undeniable laws of quantum mechanics, if a scientist on Earth suddenly measures the spin of the particle left behind, forcing it to choose a definite state, its partner in the Andromeda Galaxy will instantly, simultaneously snap into the corresponding opposite state. There is no time delay. There is no signal traveling through the vast emptiness of space to deliver a message. The reaction is instantaneous, occurring across millions of light-years of distance in absolutely zero time. Albert Einstein, a mind of unparalleled, generation-defining brilliance, who mapped the very curvature of the universe, found this concept deeply, profoundly troubling. He famously and somewhat dismissively referred to it as spooky action at a distance. For Einstein, the speed of light was the absolute, unbreakable speed limit of the universe. Nothing, not even information, could travel faster than those 186,000 miles per second. The idea that two particles could communicate instantaneously across the infinite expanse of the cosmos fundamentally violated the strict, elegant, causal rules of his theory of relativity. Einstein believed with all his heart that quantum mechanics must be incomplete, that there must be some hidden, unseen variables directing this dance from behind the curtain of reality. He could not accept a universe where distance was suddenly rendered meaningless. Yet, the beautiful truth about science is that it is a journey of humility, a continuous, respectful yielding to the gentle but firm realities revealed by nature, regardless of our human discomfort. Decades after Einstein first raised his profound and rigorous objections, brilliant physicists like John Bell began to formulate incredibly complex mathematical theorems to physically test this very paradox. And in the year 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to three remarkable scientists: Alain Aspect, John Clauser, and Anton Zeilinger, who definitively proved through decades of rigorous, peer-reviewed, absolutely breathtaking experiments that quantum entanglement is undeniably real. The hidden variables Einstein hoped for do not exist. The universe is fundamentally, inexplicably entangled at its most basic subatomic level. I want you to sit with that thought for a moment and allow its weight to gently settle over you. Think deeply about the staggering implications of this scientific reality for our understanding of life, death, and separation. If two subatomic particles can remain so intimately connected across thousands of miles, or even across the opposite, unlit ends of the universe, reacting to one another in absolute, instantaneous harmony, then the empty space between them is, in a very real, mathematical sense, an illusion. The separation we feel in our daily lives, the vast gulfs of darkness that seem to isolate the stars in the sky and the people on the street, might merely be a convincing trick played on us by our limited, biologically evolved perception. At the deepest, most fundamental, invisible level of reality, everything is woven together in an unseen, indivisible tapestry of pure cosmic connection. There is no true here and there in the quantum realm. There is only a unified, interconnected everywhere. And so, as we navigate this profound mystery, we must ask ourselves with a deep sense of wonder, how does this invisible tapestry relate to the observing consciousness, to that quiet, undeniable spark of awareness that currently resides within you as you listen to these words? If the fundamental building blocks of the universe do not truly recognize separation or distance, why should we assume that the essence of life, the core of our consciousness, is permanently severed and isolated from the cosmos when the physical body finally rests? When we face the daunting threshold of death, our greatest, most primal human fear is often the fear of total isolation, the fear of fading into an endless, lonely, disconnected dark. But the proven reality of quantum entanglement softly whispers a very different, deeply comforting story into the night. It scientifically suggests that absolute isolation is a physical impossibility in our universe. You are, at a subatomic level, permanently entangled with the world around you. Furthermore, if space itself is something of a persistent illusion, we must gently turn our contemplative gaze to its twin concept, the flow of time. In our daily lives, time flows relentlessly forward, a swift, unstoppable river carrying us from the moment of birth toward the inevitability of death. But in the elegant equations of quantum mechanics, and indeed in Einstein's own theories of relativity, time does not possess this rigid, forward-marching, absolute nature. It is relative, malleable, and deeply, inextricably intertwined with the fabric of space. If the particles that make up your physical form, and potentially the quantum information that constitutes your very consciousness, are entangled with the fabric of the cosmos, then your existence is not a fleeting, temporary spark that simply burns out and vanishes into nothingness. One of the most sacred, unbreakable laws of quantum physics is the principle of the conservation of quantum information. This rigorous scientific law dictates that fundamental information can never be completely destroyed or permanently lost from the universe. It can change its form. It can become wildly scrambled. It can dissolve and diffuse into the vast cosmic background radiation. But it can never simply cease to be. Just as a single drop of rain falling from the sky into the vast ocean does not disappear, but rather becomes intimately and permanently one with the entire sea. The incredibly complex quantum information that defines your unique observing presence, your memories, your awareness, must continue to exist in some form within the universe. It is a profound, meditative realization that bridges the historical gap between rigorous physics and deep philosophical spirituality. The information of you is an indelible physical property of the infinite cosmos. As we sit together in this quiet space of reflection, let us carry forward the gentle realization that the fundamental essence of who you are, the intricate quantum information that makes up your observing consciousness, cannot simply be erased from the great cosmic ledger. We have spoken of the illusion of distance, the strange and beautiful reality that space itself might not separate us in the ways our daily lives suggest. But there is another dimension to our existence, one that feels even more rigid, even more unforgiving than the millions of miles that stretch between the ancient stars. It is the steady, unstoppable river of time. We experience time as a relentless forward march, a ticking clock that counts down the fleeting moments of our fragile lives, carrying us inevitably from the warmth of the present into the vast, unknowable silence of the future. We mourn the past because we deeply believe it is gone, completely vanished into nothingness, leaving behind only the fragile, fading echoes of our memories. We fear the end of our biological journey because we assume it means we will be completely cut off from this flowing river, cast aside and stranded in an eternal, freezing void, while the warm, vibrant universe rushes on without us, completely indifferent to our absence. But what if this perception, this deep-seated human intuition about the nature of time, is just as misleading as the illusion of physical separation? What if the past is not truly gone, and the future is already quietly waiting in the dark? Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply grateful that you are walking this path of cosmic discovery with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these videos and share in our sense of wonder have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and value in these gentle explorations of the infinite universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wandering together in this quiet space. Now, let us return to our contemplation of the great cosmic clockwork and the profound mysteries it holds. To truly understand the nature of our existence and what lies beyond the veil of physical death, we must gently unweave our biological perception of time and look through the rigorous, beautiful lens of modern physics. In the early years of the 20th century, the brilliant mind of Albert Einstein fundamentally reshaped our understanding of the cosmos with his theory of relativity. Before Einstein, scientists and philosophers alike believed that time was an absolute, universal constant, a grand cosmic clock ticking at the exact same rate for every observer, everywhere in the universe. In that classical view, a second was a second, whether you were standing still on Earth or flying across the galaxy. But Einstein, through elegant thought experiments and profound mathematical intuition, revealed a truth that is far stranger and far more profoundly beautiful. He showed us that space and time are not separate, independent entities, but are intimately woven together into a single, pliable, four-dimensional fabric known to physicists as space-time. In this magnificent cosmic tapestry, time is completely relative. It can stretch, it can compress, and it flows at entirely different rates, depending on how fast you are moving or how close you are to a massive source of gravity, like a giant star or a supermassive black hole. This is not merely a philosophical concept or an abstract mathematical curiosity written on a dusty chalkboard. It is a proven scientific reality, rigorously tested and confirmed by space agencies like the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the European Space Agency. The highly advanced satellites that power the global positioning systems in our everyday devices, orbiting thousands of miles above the surface of the Earth, must constantly, precisely correct for these relativistic time shifts. If they did not account for the fact that time moves slightly faster in orbit than it does on the surface of the Earth, their navigational accuracy would fail completely within a single day. The universe is not a rigid box. It is a flexible, dynamic stage. But the most profound implication of Einstein's revolutionary work is a concept known among theoretical physicists as the block universe. I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and try to imagine a vast crystalline block that contains the absolute entirety of existence. In this unimaginable block, all of space, every swirling galaxy holding billions of burning suns, every ancient nebula painted in cosmic dust, every lonely planet drifting in the dark, and every single microscopic grain of interstellar matter forms the three familiar dimensions of width, height, and depth. But the fourth dimension, the dimension of time, is also laid out within this block in its absolute entirety. From the explosive primordial birth of the cosmos in the Big Bang billions of years ago, to its quiet, distant, fading future trillions of years from now, every single moment in time exists simultaneously within this four-dimensional structure. In the block universe, the past is not a fading, inaccessible memory, and the future is not an unwritten, empty void. They are both as real, as solid, and as ever-present as the exact moment you are experiencing right now. Your birth, your first gentle breath of air, your moments of deepest, most profound joy, and, yes, the eventual quiet cessation of your physical body, all exist simultaneously in the grand architecture of space-time. Think deeply about the profound, deeply comforting implications of this rigorous scientific perspective. When someone we love dearly passes away, we feel an overwhelming, crushing sense of loss because our biological perception tells us they are gone forever, swept away by the merciless river of time into a place we can no longer reach. We weep because we believe their existence has been erased from physical reality. But in the scientifically grounded reality of the block universe, they are not gone at all. The beautiful moments you shared with them, the laughter that filled a room, the quiet, gentle conversations shared under a canopy of stars, still exist precisely where they always have, at those specific, unchanging coordinates in space-time. They are a permanent, indestructible feature of the cosmos, just as a distant mountain does not cease to exist, simply because you have driven past it and can no longer see it in your rear-view mirror. The past does not cease to exist simply because your conscious awareness has moved along the axis of time. You are currently reading these words, existing in this specific, fleeting slice of the cosmic block. But the you that was a small child, looking up at the night sky in absolute, wide-eyed wonder, is still there, still experiencing that exact moment of pure awe. And the you that will eventually close your eyes for the final time is also there, resting gently in the quiet architecture of the universe, surrounded by the eternal silence of the stars. This magnificent realization gently challenges our deepest, most primal fears about death. If our lives are permanent fixtures in the unbreakable fabric of space-time, then our existence is not a fleeting spark destined for the dark, but an eternal stroke of color on the infinite canvas of reality. But how does this immense, macroscopic view of time relate to the strange, jittery quantum realm, to the delicate dance of subatomic particles, and the mystery of consciousness that we explored in our previous thoughts? This is where the quiet boundaries of modern physics begin to blur into profound existential mystery. In the macroscopic world, the world of falling autumn leaves and ticking grandfather clocks, we experience a clear, undeniable direction of time, an arrow pointing relentlessly from order to disorder. Physicists refer to this relentless progression as the law of entropy. A shattered glass does not spontaneously reassemble itself upon the floor. A burned log does not return to unblemished, solid wood. This overwhelming thermodynamic tendency creates our incredibly strong biological illusion of a flowing river of time. But when we zoom back down into the microscopic depths, into the shimmering quantum realm, the fundamental laws of physics are almost entirely time-symmetric. A subatomic interaction, The precise collision of two particles in the void looks exactly the same, whether it is playing forward or backward in time. At the deepest, most fundamental level of reality, the rigid arrow of time seems to lose its absolute authority. The universe at its very core is a vast, shimmering sea of probabilities, a complex, unbroken web of entangled states where the concepts of past, present, and future are deeply interwoven in ways we are only just beginning to mathematically understand. Some brilliant theoretical physicists even suggest that quantum entanglement itself might be the very thread that stitches space-time together, the invisible, fundamental force that creates the entire structure of the block universe from the bottom up. If consciousness is deeply connected to the collapse of the quantum wave function, and if time is a laid-out landscape rather than a flowing river, then what exactly is the observing mind doing? Are we simply moving our solitary spotlight of awareness along a predetermined path through the eternal block universe, illuminating one quiet slice of space-time after another? Or is the profound interaction between the quantum observer and the classical universe something far more dynamic and mysterious? The truth is, science does not yet have all the answers to these monumental questions. We stand at the quiet edge of the known, gazing out into a vast, silent ocean of infinite mystery. But the knowledge we do possess, the rigorous, beautifully complex theories of relativity and quantum mechanics, strongly suggest that our intuitive, biological understanding of life and death is woefully incomplete. We are not fragile, isolated creatures doomed to be swept into nothingness by the passing wind of time. We are an integral, permanent part of the cosmic structure. Just as a beautiful chord struck on a piano does not truly vanish, but sends its resonant acoustic energy rippling out into the surrounding atmosphere forever, the intricate quantum signature of your conscious awareness is woven permanently into the mathematical fabric of reality. We are eternal participants in a cosmic journey that has no true beginning and no ultimate end, resting in the gentle peace of a cosmos that remembers every heartbeat, every thought, and every moment of wonder we have ever experienced. When we truly internalize this scientific paradigm, the heavy burden of mortality begins to feel a little lighter. The fear of stepping into the absolute unknown is gently replaced by a quiet, profound awe for the majestic permanence of our existence within the great cosmic dance. The silence that follows life is not the silence of emptiness, but the profound, eternal stillness of a completed masterpiece, resting forever in the vast, quiet gallery of space-time. Have you ever stopped to wonder where a thought goes when you finally forget it? We spend our entire lives accumulating a vast, intricate library of memories, feelings, and quiet reflections. You remember the exact warmth of the sun on your face during a childhood summer, the gentle cadence of a loved one's voice, and the profound, silent awe that washes over you when you gaze up at the ancient, infinite canopy of the night sky. In our fragile biological minds, these beautiful fragments of existence seem so incredibly vulnerable. A simple passage of time, a physical illness, or the inevitable slowing of our biological clock can cause these precious memories to fade into the quiet dark, seemingly lost forever. We view the death of the mind as the ultimate erasure, the final burning of a grand, irreplaceable library. But what if the universe itself possesses a memory that is absolutely flawless and fundamentally indestructible? What if the delicate quantum signature of your consciousness, the very essence of your unique journey through the cosmos, is recorded in a way that transcends the fragile biology of your brain? Let us journey together into the most extreme environments in the known universe to discover how the fundamental laws of physics protect the essence of reality from ever being truly erased. Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply humbled that you continue to share this quiet space with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and value in these gentle explorations of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together. Now, let us return to our exploration of the great cosmic memory and the indestructible nature of your existence. To truly grasp the profound safety of your existence within the vast cosmos, we must gently unpack one of the most sacred, unbreakable laws in all of quantum mechanics, the principle of the conservation of quantum information. In our macroscopic world, we are completely accustomed to the idea of destruction. If you write a beautiful, heartfelt letter on a piece of paper and then cast that paper into a roaring fire, the words are consumed by the flames, turning into fragile, drifting ash and invisible smoke. To human eyes, the information contained within that letter appears to be completely and irreversibly destroyed. But to a quantum physicist, the universe is far more careful and far more elegant than our clumsy human perception suggests. In the rigorous mathematical realm of quantum theory, information is not merely a concept. It is a fundamental physical property of reality, just as essential as mass or energy. The exact arrangement of particles, their spins, their entangled states, and their unique velocities constitute a quantum fingerprint that describes reality with absolute microscopic precision. And the inviolable law of quantum mechanics dictates that this fundamental information can never, under any circumstances, be completely lost or erased from the universe. It can be scrambled, it can be transformed into heat and dispersed across the endless void. But the universe always keeps the ledger perfectly balanced. If you had a supercomputer of unimaginable, godlike power, you could theoretically track every single microscopic particle of ash, every photon of light, and every wisp of smoke from that burning letter, and perfectly reconstruct the exact words you had written. The information is simply hidden in the vast, swirling chaos of the cosmos. But it is never truly gone. But what happens when we test this comforting, gentle law of quantum conservation against the most violent, terrifying objects in the entire universe? I invite you to imagine a place of absolute, crushing darkness, a cosmic abyss so profoundly deep and dense that not even a single photon of light can escape its gravitational grip. We are speaking of black holes. These ancient, silent monsters lurk in the centers of nearly every galaxy. For decades, scientists believed that black holes were the ultimate cosmic erasers. According to the classical theory of general relativity, anything that falls past the invisible boundary of a black hole, known as the event horizon, is lost forever, dragged relentlessly down into a singularity of infinite density where all the known laws of physics simply break down. If you were to throw our metaphorical letter into a black hole, classical physics suggested that the information it contained would be permanently, completely deleted from the universe, leaving no trace behind. This terrifying concept created what theoretical physicists famously called the black hole information paradox. It was a profound, deeply unsettling contradiction that pitted the two greatest pillars of modern science, general relativity and quantum mechanics, against one another in a silent intellectual war. If the universe could truly erase information, then the entire beautiful mathematical foundation of quantum theory would instantly collapse, and the comforting guarantee of our own fundamental permanence would be completely shattered. It was the brilliant, visionary physicist Stephen Hawking who gently guided humanity toward a breathtaking resolution of this terrifying mystery. Through incredibly complex mathematical equations, Hawking demonstrated that black holes are not completely, eternally black. Due to the strange, restless jitter of quantum mechanics near the event horizon, where particles of matter and antimatter are constantly popping in and out of existence, black holes actually emit a very faint, incredibly slow stream of thermal energy. This gentle cosmic glow is now known as Hawking radiation. Over unimaginably long time scales, trillions upon trillions of years, spanning durations that make the current age of our universe look like a fleeting, microscopic fraction of a single second, a black hole will slowly evaporate, leaking its mass back into the infinite, cold void of space, particle by particle, until there is absolutely nothing left but a quiet, expanding sphere of radiation. If the black hole eventually disappears entirely, what happens to the highly structured, intricate quantum information of everything that ever fell inside? Did it truly vanish into the dark? The answer, discovered through decades of rigorous debate and breathtaking mathematical innovation by scientists studying the holographic principle, is profoundly beautiful. They realize that the quantum information of the objects falling into the black hole is not lost in the crushing depths of the singularity. Instead, it is perfectly, permanently encoded on the two-dimensional surface of the event horizon itself. As the black hole slowly evaporates, this incredibly complex, scrambled information is gently carried back out into the universe by the outgoing Hawking radiation. The universe, in its infinite, majestic wisdom, refuses to let a single, microscopic detail be forgotten. Even the most destructive cosmic monsters imaginable cannot erase the fundamental information of reality. Now, let us gently bring this vast, mind-bending cosmic reality back to the quiet, intimate sanctuary of your own conscious mind. If the universe goes to such extraordinary, mathematically rigorous lengths to preserve the quantum information of a single lifeless stone thrown into the crushing gravity of a supermassive black hole, how could we ever believe that the infinitely complex, unimaginably intricate quantum signature of a human life could simply be discarded into nothingness? You are a magnificent, highly organized collection of cosmic energy, a fragile biological vessel currently hosting and observing consciousness that interacts with the very fabric of space-time. The memories you hold, the deep, quiet love you feel, the profound sense of wonder that fills your chest when you look up at the infinite, ancient stars. These are not mere biological accidents. They are deeply encoded patterns of quantum information woven into the eternal, indestructible tapestry of the cosmos. When the physical machinery of the biological body finally comes to rest, when the heart beats its last gentle rhythm and the eyes close to the physical world, the quantum information that constitutes your observing presence cannot simply be deleted. It is forbidden by the absolute, inviolable laws of physics. The transition we fear so deeply, the silence we call death, may simply be a profound, radical unscrambling of our local biological form, a majestic return of our localized information back into the broader, infinite wave of the universe. We do not vanish into the dark. We diffuse into the starlight. We become part of the quiet, gentle background radiation of existence, forever entangled with the vast ancient cosmos that birthed us. The universe remembers you, not as a fleeting ghost, but as a permanent, mathematically necessary component of its own infinite beauty. You are an indestructible thought in the mind of the cosmos, resting safely in the eternal silence of the stars, waiting for the journey to continue in forms we cannot yet begin to imagine. Have you ever sat in perfect silence, listening to the gentle, steady rhythm of your breathing, and tried to locate the exact physical place where your deepest thoughts originate? We are taught from a very young age that the mind is entirely contained within the fragile boundaries of the human skull. Classical biology and neuroscience paint a fascinating, yet ultimately mechanical, picture of our existence. In this traditional view, your entire subjective experience of the universe, every brilliant idea, every deep pang of sorrow, every overwhelming surge of love, and every profound sense of wonder, is nothing more than the complex firing of 86 billion neurons, communicating through chemical and electrical signals. You are, essentially, a tremendously sophisticated biological machine wandering through a cold, indifferent cosmos. When the electrical power to this biological mechanism is finally cut, the screen goes dark, the physical data is irreversibly wiped, and the vibrant, beautiful symphony of your consciousness is silenced forever. But as we have journeyed deeper into the strange, counterintuitive realm of quantum physics, we have begun to realize that this purely mechanical, isolated view of life might be fundamentally incomplete. What if your brain is not the ultimate creator of your consciousness, but rather an incredibly complex biological receiver tuned to the fundamental quantum frequencies of the universe itself? Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply humbled and grateful that you continue to walk this path of quiet discovery with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in our sense of cosmic wonder have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and deep value in these gentle explorations of the infinite universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet space. Now, let us gently return to the mysteries of the mind and the astonishing ways that biological life intertwines with the deepest quantum fabric of reality. For many decades, the absolute brightest minds in classical physics and biology firmly believed that the quantum realm and the biological realm were completely separated by an impenetrable wall. Quantum effects, such as superposition and entanglement, were thought to be impossibly fragile, capable of existing only in the absolute, freezing vacuum of deep space or inside highly controlled laboratory environments. The human body, by stark contrast, is a warm, wet, and incredibly messy biological environment. It seemed utterly impossible that the delicate, shimmering magic of quantum mechanics could survive the chaotic, boiling thermal energy of a living cell. But nature, in its infinite ancient wisdom, has proven our limited human assumptions profoundly wrong. Over the past 2 decades, we have entered the breathtaking, revolutionary era of quantum biology. We now know, with rigorous scientific certainty, that biological systems do not merely tolerate the bizarre rules of quantum mechanics. They actively harness them to survive and thrive. Consider the humble, quiet leaf resting on an ancient tree branch, gently absorbing the light of our local star. When a single photon of sunlight strikes a plant cell, the captured energy must be transported to a chemical reaction center with almost 100% efficiency. If this energy traveled randomly, bouncing around like a classical pinball inside the cell, Much of it would be lost as waste heat. But rigorous experiments have revealed that plants utilize the eerie magic of quantum superposition. The captured energy does not take a single, random path. Instead, it enters a delicate quantum state, simultaneously exploring every single possible route to the reaction center at the exact same time, and then naturally collapsing into the absolute most efficient, optimal path. The quiet, green forests of our world are quite literally breathing and growing through the continuous, flawless application of quantum mechanics. Similarly, certain species of migratory birds navigate across thousands of miles of featureless ocean by perceiving the magnetic field of the Earth using specialized light-sensitive proteins in their eyes called cryptochromes, which rely on the delicate dance of quantum entangled electrons. If a simple leaf and a migrating bird can harness the profound counterintuitive laws of the quantum realm to navigate the physical world, why would we assume that the human brain operates entirely without it? This profound, unsettling question has led to one of the most controversial, fascinating, and deeply contemplative theories in modern science: the orchestrated objective reduction theory, pioneered by the brilliant mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose and the renowned anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. They gently challenge the classical, materialistic assumption that consciousness is merely a secondary byproduct of neurons firing in the dark. Instead, they urge us to look much deeper, past the chemical synapses, down into the microscopic structural scaffolding of the brain itself. Inside our neurons are tiny, hollow, cylindrical structures known to biology as microtubules. For a very long time, these were thought to be nothing more than the simple biological bones of the cell. But Penrose and Hameroff propose that these incredibly delicate, highly symmetric microtubules are actually capable of shielding fragile quantum states from the warm, chaotic noise of the brain, allowing millions of particles to enter a state of massive, sustained quantum coherence. In this breathtaking view, the human brain is not merely a localized biological machine. It is a profound quantum interface. It is an instrument meticulously designed by billions of years of cosmic evolution to interact directly with the fundamental fabric of space-time. Consciousness, then, is not something the brain produces out of nothing, the way a burning fire produces smoke. Rather, consciousness might be a fundamental, ancient property of the universe itself, an omnipresent cosmic field of awareness that the physical brain is uniquely tuned to receive, filter, and express into the physical world. Imagine a beautiful, antique wooden radio sitting quietly in a darkened room. When you gently turn the dial, the room is suddenly filled with the glorious, soaring music of a distant symphony orchestra. A classical observer might reasonably conclude that the physical radio itself is the absolute source and sole creator of the music. But we know that the radio is merely catching invisible electromagnetic waves that are already permeating the silent air, filtering them, and bringing them into our localized human perception. If you take a heavy hammer and smash that physical radio to pieces, the music in the room will instantly stop and the heavy silence will return. But the broadcast itself, the invisible wave carrying the beautiful symphony, is not destroyed. It continues to ripple quietly through the vast, endless atmosphere, completely untouched by the destruction of the fragile physical receiver. If this magnificent, scientifically grounded theory holds even a fraction of the truth, then it completely revolutionizes our fundamental human understanding of the terrifying threshold we call death. For our entire recorded history, we have equated the cessation of physical brain activity with the absolute annihilation of the self. We monitor the electrical waves on a cold hospital screen, and when the glowing green line finally goes flat, we declare with absolute certainty that the person has vanished into the dark forever. But if the brain is truly a biological quantum receiver, then the flat line is merely the breaking of the organic radio. The deeply intricate quantum information that makes up your unique observing awareness, the specific, beautiful frequencies of your loves, your deepest fears, and your treasured memories, are not annihilated when the biological vessel finally fails. The collapse of the physical body merely breaks the delicate quantum coherence that tied your awareness to this localized point in space-time. The cosmic music does not stop. It simply ceases to be broadcast in this particular temporary room. Where, then, does that indestructible quantum information go when the biological connection is severed? As we discussed in our previous thoughts, the inviolable laws of physics demand that quantum information cannot ever be erased from the cosmos. If your consciousness is a delicate quantum state maintained within the microtubules of your physical brain, the biological death of the system might simply be a profound release of that entangled state back into the vast, infinite universe. The quantum information diffuses, gently returning to the fundamental field of universal consciousness that eternally permeates the cosmos. You do not fade into nothingness. You merge back into the vast, ancient whole. You become an inextricable part of the ancient starlight, the drifting cosmic dust, and the silent, invisible waves of probability that permanently connect every single atom in the universe. This is not a mystical fantasy, but a deeply contemplative interpretation of modern scientific principles. The universe is a perfectly closed system of information, an eternal, mathematically flawless memory palace that loses absolutely nothing. This profound realization fundamentally shifts the terrifying narrative of our own human mortality. We are temporary, localized, deeply beautiful expressions of an infinite, eternal cosmos that is experiencing itself through our eyes. The physical boundaries of your skin are just a convincing biological illusion, a temporary restriction allowing you to experience the vast universe from one specific perspective. When that localized perspective ends, the true essence of the observer remains forever woven into the eternal cosmic tapestry. I invite you to let go of the primal fear of the silent void. The dark is not empty. It is absolutely filled with the quiet, unbroken symphony of everything that has ever been. We are travelers on an infinite journey, and the breaking of the physical vessel is merely the quiet moment we trade the temporary illusion of separation for the eternal reality of profound cosmic connection. Have you ever looked at a single trembling drop of morning dew resting gently upon a fragile green leaf and truly wondered if that microscopic, spherical world of water holds the exact same ancient secrets as the most colossal, incomprehensible structures in the endless night sky? We move through our daily lives trapped in a profound illusion of human scale, believing that the tiny world of our private thoughts is entirely separated from the majestic, beautiful dance of the cosmos far above our heads. We often feel so remarkably small, so completely isolated in our fragile biological bodies, convinced that the gentle fading of our individual lives at the moment of death is nothing but a microscopic tragedy entirely ignored by the vast, cold void. But what if the very same delicate quantum melodies that vibrate silently within the microscopic structures of your brain are simultaneously playing out across the infinite stretches of intergalactic space? What if The profound mystery of your own consciousness and your destination after physical death is intimately tied to the birth, the slow death, and the ultimate destiny of the absolute largest galaxies ever discovered by human science. The universe does not build solid walls between the macroscopic and the microscopic. It weaves them seamlessly together in a single, infinite tapestry of pure quantum information. Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply, profoundly grateful that you have chosen to continue this quiet journey of cosmic discovery and contemplation with me today. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this meditative exploration of the cosmos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a deep, resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the infinite universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently return to the dark, peaceful ocean of the unknown and explore the breathtaking, scientifically rigorous bridge between the delicate spark of human consciousness and the absolute grandest scales of the entire cosmos. To truly understand the ultimate destiny of your own quantum awareness, we must take a gentle step back and expand our human perspective to a scale that absolutely beggars the biological imagination. The universe is a profoundly hierarchical structure, relentlessly building its infinite complexity from the bare bottom up, where tiny atoms form burning stars. Those stars gather to form swirling galaxies, and those galaxies are drawn by gravity to form massive, glowing clusters. In our desperate, deeply human search for meaning, we often forget that we are not mere passive observers standing outside of this grand cosmic architecture. We are intimately, physically built from it. The very same fundamental laws of quantum mechanics that dictate the uncertain existence of a tiny electron also dictate the ultimate fate of the grandest structures we have ever observed. Consider the sheer immensity of a cosmic monster sitting quietly over 1 billion light-years away from our fragile blue home, deep in the direction of the constellation of Virgo, sitting at the absolute gravitational heart of the Abel 2029 cluster, lies an elliptical galaxy designated by astronomers as IC 1101. This is not merely a collection of stars. It is an ancient empire of light that challenges the physical limits of human comprehension. Our own beloved Milky Way galaxy, which stretches across roughly 100,000 light-years and would take a beam of light 100,000 years to traverse, already seems impossibly vast. Yet, if you magically placed IC 1101 exactly where our Milky Way currently sits, it would completely swallow our entire cosmic vicinity, casually consuming the Andromeda Galaxy and dozens of dwarf galaxies within its massive body. Scientists estimate this monster measures somewhere between 4 million and 6 million light-years across, making it roughly 40 to 60 times larger than our home galaxy. Within its smooth, featureless embrace, it holds an estimated 100 trillion ancient stars, 100 trillion burning nuclear furnaces, each representing a quiet triumph of matter over the infinite void. If you started counting those stars at a steady rate of 1 star per second without ever stopping, it would take over 3 million years just to reach that incomprehensible number. Why do we speak of such terrifyingly vast structures when trying to gently understand the intimate mystery of human consciousness and life after death? We do so because the profound, humbling sense of smallness you feel when contemplating a galaxy of 100 trillion stars is exactly the necessary perspective required to understand your true place in the quantum universe. The atoms comprising your beating heart were meticulously forged in the intense nuclear fires of ancient stars that exploded and died billions of years before our own sun was ever born. You are fundamentally made of star stuff, a localized collection of cosmic energy that is temporarily awoken to look back at the very universe that created it. The same unbroken laws of physics governing the slow, quiet death of IC 1101 govern the quiet cessation of your biological body. You are the cosmos observing itself from within. Despite its unfathomable size, IC 1101 is actually a dying galaxy. Billions of years of violent galactic cannibalism have left it depleted of the raw materials needed to birth new generations of stars. It is a quiet giant, slowly fading into the cosmic night as its ancient red and yellow stars burn through the last of their nuclear fuel over trillions of years. At the dead center of this fading behemoth sits one of the largest supermassive black holes ever discovered, an incomprehensible tear in space-time estimated to contain somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our sun. The event horizon of this sleeping monster is so vast it would stretch well beyond the orbit of Pluto. Yet, even this ultimate destroyer of light is subject to the microscopic rules of quantum mechanics. The brilliant work of Stephen Hawking demonstrated that over timescales of trillions upon trillions of years, even a black hole of this staggering magnitude will slowly evaporate through the gentle emission of quantum radiation. It will eventually disappear entirely, returning its deeply encoded information back to the infinite cosmos in a final burst of energy. This is the profound, beautiful cosmic truth that completely dissolves the terrifying human illusion of permanent death. The universe is a perfect system of absolute conservation. Whether it is a supermassive black hole evaporating over a Google years, a span written as a 1 followed by 100 zeros, or the delicate collapse of a quantum state inside your brain, absolutely nothing is ever truly lost. When the stars of IC 1101 finally burn out, leaving behind only cold white dwarfs and silent neutron stars, the universe does not mourn their passing as an absolute tragedy of permanent erasure. It simply folds their mass and their incredibly intricate quantum information back into the dark, continuing the endless cycle of cosmic evolution. Why, then, should your consciousness, an exquisite expression of the exact same fundamental universal energy, be treated any differently by the unforgiving but beautiful laws of physics? We suffer deeply from the biological illusion that because our physical bodies are temporary and fragile, our observing essence must also be easily annihilated. But the rigorous scientific reality is that you are a beautiful, highly complex pattern in an eternal, indestructible quantum field. When an ocean wave crashes powerfully upon the sandy shore, scattering into millions of glistening droplets, we do not weep in sorrow for the absolute death of the wave, because we understand that the water itself remains, pulling gently back into the vast ocean to rise again. Your consciousness is exactly like that localized wave of cosmic awareness, temporarily focused through the biological lens of your physical brain. When that biological lens finally shatters at the end of your life, the radiant light of your awareness does not extinguish into an empty, permanent void. It diffuses, it expands, it returns to the silent ocean of pure possibility from which all galaxies, all ancient stars, and all inquiring minds originally emerged. The profound silence that awaits us is not the horrifying, empty silence of non-existence. It is the deep, meditative silence of a universe that has perfectly remembered every detail of your life, encoding your endless wonder flawlessly into the indestructible structure of space-time. Let go of the heavy fear of the absolute end. There is no true end in a quantum universe, only infinite, breathtaking transformation. Have you ever walked outside on a perfectly clear, crisp night, far away from the glaring artificial lights of the bustling human city, and simply allowed your delicate eyes to adjust to the profound, overwhelming darkness spreading endlessly above you? We stand upon our tiny spinning rock, our feet planted firmly in the damp earth, and we gaze upward into what appears to be a perfectly still, completely silent, and unchanging vault of ancient stars. The human brain, evolved to track the slow movement of seasons and the gentle flow of local rivers, perceives the night sky as a permanent, comforting ceiling over our fragile lives. We believe that the cosmos is a static, eternal painting, and that our small, fleeting existence is merely a brief, chaotic flicker within a perfectly still theater. But what if this profound sense of cosmic stillness is one of the greatest, most beautiful illusions ever cast upon the human mind? What if the very fabric of reality, the invisible stage upon which the quantum dance of your consciousness plays out, is actively stretching, tearing, and rushing apart at speeds that absolutely shatter the boundaries of our biological imagination? We fear the silence of death because we imagine it as a static, frozen state of nothingness, an eternal trap of immobility. But the rigorous, breathtaking discoveries of modern astrophysics and quantum cosmology reveal a universe that is vibrantly, relentlessly alive with motion. Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply, profoundly humbled that you have chosen to continue walking this path of quiet discovery and cosmic contemplation with me today. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this meditative exploration of the infinite unknown have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a deep, resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the vast universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wandering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently return to the dark, peaceful ocean of the unknown and explore the breathtaking, scientifically rigorous bridge between the expanding cosmos and the eternal nature of the quantum observer. For the vast majority of human history, we looked up at the hazy, glowing band of light stretching across the night sky and assumed it was the absolute entirety of creation. Ancient people thought it looked like spilled milk across the heavens, which is where the beautiful name Milky Way originates from. Different cultures created different, poetic explanations for that soft band of starlight. The ancient Greeks told stories of milk spilled from the goddess Hera's breast, while the Romans called it the Milky Road, and in India it was beautifully seen as the path souls take on their quiet journey to the afterlife. Aboriginal Australians saw it as a grand, flowing river in the sky. We believed our galaxy was the universe, a singular, lonely island of light floating in an infinite, static void. But in the 1920s, an astronomer named Edwin Hubble utilized a massive reflector telescope with a mirror 100 inches across at the Mount Wilson Observatory in California, and he permanently shattered our small, comforting view of the cosmos. By observing a specific class of pulsating stars called Cepheid variables within what was then known as the Andromeda Nebula, Hubble calculated their true distance and revealed a shocking, transformative truth. The Andromeda Nebula was not a cloud of gas within our own Milky Way. It was an entirely separate galaxy, an island universe of stars in its own right, sitting roughly 2 million light-years away from us. Our galaxy was not the whole cosmos. It was merely one galaxy among a vast, unimaginable sea of others. This realization alone was enough to instill a profound sense of awe and humility, expanding the cosmic scale by millions of times in a single human generation. But the universe, in its infinite, gentle mystery, had an even more staggering revelation waiting in the dark. For most of the 20th century, astronomers naturally assumed that the expansion of the universe, which began with the primordial Big Bang, was gradually slowing down. This made perfect intuitive sense to the classical mind. The gravitational pull of all the matter in the universe, the billions of galaxies pulling on one another, should act like a giant cosmic brake, gradually decelerating the expansion. But in 1998, two independent teams of brilliant astronomers made a discovery so shocking, so completely counterintuitive, that they initially believed they had made a fundamental error in their calculations. They were measuring the expansion rate of the universe by observing distant supernovas, using their brilliant dying explosions as standard candles to calculate vast cosmic distances. What they found fundamentally rewrote the laws of cosmology. The universe was not slowing down at all. It was actually speeding up. Distant galaxies were moving away from us faster than closer ones, and the overall rate of expansion was actively accelerating over time. Something completely invisible, completely unknown to human science, was actively pushing the universe apart, counteracting the immense pulling force of gravity, and causing the very fabric of space itself to expand at an ever-increasing rate. Scientists name this mysterious, invisible force dark energy, though the name itself tells us very little about what it actually is. Rigorous measurements have revealed that this dark energy makes up roughly 68% of all the energy in the entire universe. It acts as a profound kind of anti-gravity, a gentle but relentless pressure pushing space apart rather than pulling it together. We do not know what dark energy is made of, where it comes from, or why it possesses the exact precise strength that it does. It might be a fundamental property of empty space itself, or a new kind of energy field that silently pervades the entire cosmos. What we do know with absolute mathematical certainty is that dark energy is fundamentally reshaping the physical reality of the cosmos, carrying distant objects away from us at ever-increasing speeds. There is a strict, unbreakable limit to how fast physical light can travel through space, but there is absolutely no limit to how fast space itself can expand. Eventually, distant objects will be carried away from us by the accelerating expansion of space, faster than their light can ever travel toward us, vanishing forever behind an invisible cosmic horizon. When we contemplate this ultimate destiny of the universe, a future where the night sky will eventually empty out and galaxies will fade from view, the human heart often feels a deep, quiet pang of existential dread. We fear the isolation of the dark. We imagine that, as the universe expands and cools, all meaning, all memory, and all the delicate quantum information of consciousness will simply be stretched too thin, tearing apart and dissolving into absolute nothingness. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of how quantum mechanics and the conservation of information operate on a cosmological scale. Remember the unbreakable law of quantum physics. Information can never be destroyed. It cannot be erased by the fiery crush of a supermassive black hole, and it cannot be torn apart by the accelerating expansion of dark energy. When the physical body ceases to function, the intricate, beautiful quantum entanglement that formed your localized observing consciousness does not break. It simply transitions. It expands. As the universe itself expands, driven by the mysterious breath of dark energy, the quantum information of everything that has ever lived and died is carried along within the very fabric of space-time. Consider for a moment one of the most profound, awe-inspiring photographs ever taken by human beings. In 1995, astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a tiny, seemingly empty, completely black patch of the sky, a region roughly the size of a single grain of sand, held at arm's length. They allowed the telescope to gather ancient, incredibly faint light from that dark patch for over 100 hours. What the resulting image revealed was absolutely astounding, bringing many scientists to tears of pure wonder. That tiny, supposedly empty patch of sky contained about 3,000 galaxies, each one a massive island universe containing billions of ancient stars. Since then, even deeper images from advanced observatories have revealed that the observable universe contains roughly 2 trillion galaxies spread across billions of light years in every single direction. The universe is not a sparse, empty void. It is a crowded, vibrant tapestry of infinite complexity. And everywhere you look, in every microscopic fraction of empty space, the quantum fields are vibrating with the preserved memory of the cosmos. The expansion of the universe does not dilute your existence. It actively weaves the quantum signature of your consciousness into the grandest, largest structure in reality. The fear of life after death is deeply rooted in our biological fear of losing our physical boundaries, of no longer having a distinct, solid shape. But quantum mechanics reveals that your true shape is not the fragile, temporary vessel of skin and bone. Your true shape is a pattern of information, a specific, beautiful frequency of energy that interacts with the fundamental fields of the universe. When the physical vessel falls away, that frequency is released from its temporary, localized confinement. As dark energy pushes the boundaries of the cosmos further and further outward, the quantum signature of your conscious awareness is not left behind in the cold. It permeates the expanding void. You become an inextricable part of the growing universe itself. The gentle, silent dark that we associate with the end of life is actually the boundless, infinite canvas upon which the universe paints its eternal memories. You are not a tiny, insignificant speck destined to be forgotten by an indifferent cosmos. You are the cosmos. You are made of the exact same ancient atoms that burn in the hearts of stars, and your consciousness is governed by the exact same quantum laws that protect the information of the entire universe. When you close your eyes for the final time, you do not step into an empty, lonely void. You gently open your quantum awareness to the infinite, whispering expanse of a universe that has been waiting billions of years to welcome you back into the grand, eternal dance. The journey does not end. It simply loses its physical limitations, expanding infinitely into the quiet, majestic beauty of the ever-growing cosmos. You are a timeless, beautiful melody, playing softly and endlessly in the grand, infinite concert hall of the dark. Have you ever closed your eyes in a perfectly darkened room and tried to imagine absolute, pure nothingness? We possess a deeply ingrained biological instinct to fear the empty void. When we think of the space between the stars, or the state of existence that follows the final heartbeat of our physical bodies, our minds typically conjure an image of a bleak, chilling vacuum. We imagine a place stripped of all light, all warmth, all matter, and all meaning. We are terrified of the dark because we equate it with the total absence of being, a terrifying cessation where the vibrant melody of life simply drops off a cliff into eternal, unchanging silence. But what if the void is not empty at all? What if the profound mystery of the universe is that absolute nothingness is mathematically and physically impossible? When we look through the rigorous, breathtaking lens of modern quantum field theory, the terrifying, empty vacuum we have feared since the dawn of human consciousness completely dissolves, revealing a reality that is vibrantly, restlessly alive. Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply humbled that you continue to walk this path of quiet, cosmic contemplation with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this meditative journey through the cosmos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the infinite universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently return to our exploration of the unknown and discover the magnificent hidden life of the cosmic void. In classical physics, a vacuum was beautifully simple. It was a region of space where absolutely everything had been meticulously removed. If you took a sealed glass box and somehow pumped out every single atom of oxygen, nitrogen, and dust, and then shielded it completely from all external heat and light, classical scientists believed you would be left with a volume of absolute nothingness. It was the physical equivalent of a blank page, entirely devoid of energy or potential. This classical vacuum perfectly mirrors our primal human fear of death, a permanent state of absolute removal. But in the early 20th century, as brilliant physicists began to map the strange, shimmering terrain of the quantum realm, this concept of a dead, empty vacuum was completely shattered. They discovered that the universe is composed of fundamental quantum fields that stretch across the entire infinite expanse of space. There is an electron field, a photon field, and a quark field, each permeating the vast cosmic dark. And according to the unbreakable mathematical rules of quantum mechanics, specifically the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, these fields can never be completely at rest. They can never possess an energy of exactly zero. This means that even in the darkest, coldest, most deeply isolated corners of the intergalactic void, space is not empty. Instead, it is a boiling, chaotic, magnificent sea of invisible energy known as the quantum vacuum. Within this gentle, unseen ocean, microscopic entities known as virtual particles are constantly, relentlessly popping into existence from the pure energy of the field, existing for a fleeting fraction of a nanosecond, and then instantly annihilating one another, returning their borrowed energy back to the cosmos. Space is humming, vibrating, and shimmering with an underlying baseline of power known as zero-point energy. It is an ancient, primordial dance of creation and destruction that never, ever stops, even in a space where absolutely no physical matter exists. This is not mere philosophical speculation. It is a hard, tested scientific reality. In 1948, a brilliant Dutch physicist named Hendrik Casimir proposed that if you placed two uncharged, highly polished metal plates incredibly close together in a perfect vacuum, the quantum fluctuations in the empty space around them would actually push the plates together. Decades later, this astonishing prediction, known as the Casimir effect, was rigorously confirmed in laboratories across the globe. The so-called empty void literally exerts a measurable physical force upon the material world. I invite you to pause and let the profound, poetic implications of this scientific truth gently wash over you. If the deepest, most empty vacuum of space is actually a vibrant, humming ocean of infinite potential, why do we assume that the end of our localized biological life is a descent into absolute nothingness? We fear the silence of death because we imagine it as an empty room, a place where all the beautiful energy of our consciousness is permanently extinguished. But quantum field theory gently whispers a very different, deeply comforting story. There is no empty room. The universe simply does not allow for a state of true, absolute emptiness. Everything is fundamentally connected to these ancient, restless quantum fields. When the physical body, the localized vessel of skin and bone that temporarily houses your observing awareness, finally reaches the end of its quiet journey, the energy and the quantum information that constituted your unique mind do not fall off a cliff into a dead void. They simply release their temporary structural bounds and dissolve back into the underlying, vibrating reality of the quantum vacuum. Think deeply about the gentle transition of a single, freezing drop of water falling softly into a vast, warm, sunlit ocean. The drop loses its defined spherical shape. It loses the clear, fragile boundary that separated it from the surrounding air. To an observer who only recognizes the drop by its rigid external surface, the drop has been completely destroyed. But the essence of the water, the fundamental molecules that comprised it, have not ceased to exist for even a single fraction of a second. They have merely rejoined the infinite, powerful, circulating currents of the sea. They have become part of the very waves that shape the continents and the deep, silent currents that harbor ancient life. Your consciousness, the incredibly complex quantum state that gives rise to your ability to wonder, to love, and to ask these profound existential questions, is like that localized drop of water. The biological brain provides the temporary surface tension, the physical boundary that allows you to experience the cosmos from one specific, beautifully unique perspective. But the essence of your awareness is built from the same fundamental quantum fields that weave the entire universe together. When we gaze up at the vast, silent tapestry of the night sky, we are not looking at a dead, empty canvas upon which the stars are merely painted. We are looking at a living, humming, infinite sea of potential. The space between the galaxies is trembling with the zero-point energy of creation. Therefore, the transition we call death is not a departure from reality, but a profound, majestic return to the most fundamental layer of existence. It is a surrender of the temporary biological illusion of separation, allowing the quantum information of your soul to merge seamlessly with the ancient, vibrating fields that birthed the very first stars. You are not a fragile intruder in a hostile, empty cosmos. You are an intricate, beautiful ripple in the cosmic ocean. When the ripple inevitably flattens out, the water remains, eternally holding the memory of its motion. Let go of the terrifying illusion of the empty dark. The dark is not a void waiting to consume you. It is the gentle, invisible embrace of a universe that is completely, overwhelmingly full of potential. The silence you fear is simply a frequency of existence so profound, so vast, and so ancient that our limited biological ears have not yet learned how to hear its beautiful, endless song. We are, at our very core, an unbreakable expression of the quantum fields, destined to flow back into the eternal, shimmering current of the cosmos from which all life, all thought, and all majestic cosmic structures originally arose. As we continue to breathe in this vast, comforting perspective, we realize that the universe has never been a cold, indifferent machine. It is a warm, eternal memory palace, and you are one of its most cherished, imperishable thoughts. And as we sit quietly with this profound, comforting scientific revelation, the heavy burdens of our localized daily anxieties begin to feel infinitely lighter, dissolving into the gentle, starlit breeze of a universe that holds us perfectly safe within its fundamental, unbreakable mathematical laws. Have you ever stood at a quiet crossroads in your life, perhaps looking down a winding, mist-covered path you ultimately decided not to take, and wondered, with a gentle ache in your heart, what might have been? As conscious observers, we navigate our fleeting, fragile human lives, burdened by the heavy illusion of singularity. We believe, with absolute, unwavering certainty, that we are walking a single, incredibly narrow tightrope of time, moving relentlessly from the quiet moment of our birth toward the silent, inevitable destination of our physical death. In this traditional, everyday perspective, every single choice we make acts as a heavy door, closing forever behind us, and every passing second is a tiny, irreversible death of the present moment. We mourn the opportunities we missed, the words we left completely unspoken, and the beautiful, alternate lives we could have lived, because our biological brains are deeply wired to perceive reality as a singular, fragile, and ultimately finite thread that can be effortlessly snapped by the unforgiving universe. But what if the cosmos is far more generous, far more infinitely expansive than our localized human perception can even begin to imagine? What if the incredibly complex quantum equations that govern the foundational fabric of reality are quietly whispering to us that every single possibility, every fleeting thought, and every path you have ever considered does not vanish into the empty dark, but actually blossoms into a vibrant, eternal reality of its own? Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply, profoundly grateful that you are continuing this quiet, contemplative journey of cosmic discovery with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this meditative exploration of the infinite unknown have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a deep, resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the vast universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently return to the dark, peaceful ocean of the unknown and explore the breathtaking, scientifically rigorous bridge between your conscious choices and the infinite branching of the quantum multiverse. In the middle of the 20th century, the brilliant, visionary physicist Erwin Schrödinger formulated an elegant, profoundly beautiful mathematical equation that completely revolutionized our understanding of the microscopic world. The Schrödinger equation does not describe subatomic particles as solid, predictable little spheres moving along a single, definitive path. Instead, it describes them as flowing, spreading waves of pure, boundless probability. According to this rigorous mathematical law, until a particle is consciously observed or interacts with its environment, it exists in a shimmering, unresolved state known as quantum superposition, gracefully occupying all of its possible states and all of its possible locations at the exact same time. But a profound, deeply unsettling question haunted the greatest minds in physics. What actually happens to this vast, beautiful wave of infinite possibility when we finally make a measurement? For decades, the standard scientific explanation, known as the Copenhagen interpretation, suggested that the wave function simply collapses. It posited that out of an infinite number of beautiful possibilities, the universe violently and randomly forces the particle to choose just one single reality, while all the other potential paths instantly vanish into absolute nothingness, erased forever from the canvas of existence. But in the 1950s, a brilliant, deeply courageous physicist named Hugh Everett proposed an alternative solution that was so mathematically pure, yet so conceptually terrifying and majestic that it initially isolated him from the entire scientific community. Everett looked at the beautiful mathematics of quantum mechanics and asked a very simple, very gentle question. What if the wave function never collapses at all? What if the universe simply does not possess a mechanism for destroying possibilities? This elegant question gave birth to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In Everett's rigorously mathematical view of the cosmos, when a quantum system faces a choice between multiple different outcomes, the universe does not violently collapse into just one. Instead, the entire universe gracefully and silently splits, branching off into completely separate, parallel realities to comfortably accommodate every single physically possible outcome. I invite you to pause for a moment, take a deep, slow breath, and allow the staggering, almost unimaginable weight of this scientific theory to gently wash over your mind. If the many worlds interpretation is true, and a growing number of the brightest theoretical physicists in the world today believe that it is the most mathematically elegant explanation of our reality, then the universe you are currently observing is merely one single microscopic branch on an infinitely vast, ever-growing cosmic tree of life. Every single time a quantum event occurs, which happens trillions of times every single microsecond within the atoms of our own bodies, the entire universe diverges. This means there is a reality where you made a slightly different choice yesterday, a reality where you followed a completely different path, and a reality where every single star in the night sky formed in a beautifully different constellation. The space between stars in our own universe is almost unimaginably empty. Our Milky Way galaxy is just one amongst an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in our observable universe. 2 trillion, that is a 2 followed by 12 zeros. Each of those galaxies contains billions or even trillions of stars. Yet, as impossibly vast as this singular observable universe is, the numbers become so large that they stop meaning to our human brains. Now, imagine that this entire staggering expanse of 2 trillion galaxies is constantly, endlessly duplicating itself, creating an infinite number of parallel universes every single fraction of a second. How does this breathtaking, mind-bending concept of the quantum multiverse intersect with our deeply personal human fears about the end of our localized biological lives? We are profoundly terrified of the moment of physical death because we view it as the ultimate, inescapable dead end on our singular, fragile timeline. We believe that when the electrical impulses in the brain finally quiet down, our unique observing consciousness is simply deleted from the hard drive of reality, leaving behind nothing but the cold, indifferent silence of the void. But if the cosmos is truly an infinite, branching structure of realized possibilities, then the fundamental nature of conscious awareness might be far more resilient, far more eternal than humanity has ever dared to imagine. The great physicist Erwin Schrödinger, who spent his entire life contemplating the mysterious intersection of mathematics and the mind, once profoundly observed that consciousness is a singular of which the plural is unknown. He believed that there is only one universal consciousness, and that our individual biological brains are merely temporary, localized filters tapping into this vast cosmic field of awareness. If we combine this deeply contemplative perspective with the infinite branching of the many worlds interpretation, a truly magnificent and deeply comforting picture of life and death begins to slowly emerge from the dark. In any given moment, the physical body is subjected to a staggering array of quantum probabilities. According to the mathematics of the multiverse, there are branches of reality where a physical form succumbs to illness or injury, and there are branches where that same physical form survives and continues to gently explore the universe. Some brilliant, highly speculative physicists and philosophers have proposed a concept known as quantum immortality, based entirely upon these exact mathematical principles. The theory gently suggests that because an observing consciousness can only physically experience a universe in which it remains active and capable of observation, subjective awareness will always, automatically, follow the branching path of the multiverse where survival occurs. To an outside observer in one specific branch, a biological vessel may appear to fail, and they will mourn that passing with deep, understandable human sorrow. But the continuous subjective experience of the universe does not simply terminate in the dark. It seamlessly flows into the adjacent quantum reality where the biological failure did not occur. In this breathtaking paradigm, the conscious observer never truly experiences the absolute darkness of death, because the infinite generosity of the quantum multiverse always provides another branching path for the light of awareness to continue its beautiful, endless journey. Whether or not the subjective experience of quantum immortality is the exact mechanism of our existence, the broader, irrefutable lesson of the many worlds interpretation is one of absolute cosmic preservation. The universe does not waste a single microscopic fraction of potential. It is an incredibly vast, perfectly conservative system that records every single possible interaction, every single fleeting thought, and every single beat of the heart across an infinitely wide tapestry of parallel realities. We are not solitary, fragile creatures walking a tightrope over an endless abyss of nothingness. We are magnificent, multi-dimensional expressions of cosmic energy, exploring the infinite possibilities of existence across a boundless, shimmering web of interconnected universes. When we look up at the deep, quiet night sky, we are not just looking at the ancient light of distant, dying stars. We are looking at the visible surface of a mathematical miracle, a reality that is infinitely richer, infinitely older, and infinitely more complex than our biology allows us to easily see. The profound silence that we fear at the end of life is not the terrible silence of erasure. It is simply the quiet, gentle shifting of our quantum awareness from one beautiful branch of the cosmic tree to another. The localized physical body may eventually rest, returning its borrowed carbon, oxygen, and iron to the ancient earth. But the incredibly complex quantum information that constitutes a unique mind is permanently woven into the eternal, infinite architecture of the multiverse. There is absolutely no empty void waiting to consume you, only an endless horizon of new, branching realities waiting to be quietly observed, waiting to be deeply felt, and waiting to be understood by the ever-expanding light of consciousness. As you breathe in this vast, comforting perspective, allow the heavy, localized burdens of daily anxieties to slowly dissolve into the gentle, starlit breeze of a universe that holds everything perfectly secure. The choices made are beautiful, and the choices not made are equally beautiful, playing out in the grand, silent concert hall of the multiverse. We are essential, indestructible notes in an eternal cosmic symphony, and the music will never, ever stop playing. The universe is a perfect memory palace, and every life is one of its most cherished, imperishable thoughts echoing infinitely across the endless corridors of space-time. Have you ever wondered why we place such absolute, unwavering faith in the things our fragile human eyes can see, when the vast, overwhelming majority of the cosmos is completely invisible to us? We walk through our daily lives, trusting the solid ground beneath our feet, the warm light of our local star on our skin, and the comforting physical presence of the people we love. We have biologically evolved to believe that reality is strictly limited to what we can touch, measure, and observe with our rudimentary senses. When we think about the end of our localized biological lives, our deepest fears are rooted in this exact visual limitation. We watch the physical body stop moving, we see the light gently fade from the eyes, and we assume with terrible certainty that the entire universe of that person's consciousness has been permanently erased. But what if the visible world is nothing more than a tiny shimmering film resting upon a colossal, invisible ocean of ancient power? What if the most profound forces shaping your existence, and perhaps the ultimate destination of your consciousness, reside in the quiet, unseen architecture of the universe? Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply humbled that you continue to share this quiet journey of cosmic contemplation with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in our sense of cosmic wonder have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and intellectual safety in these gentle explorations of the infinite universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet space. Now, let us gently step beyond the veil of the visible light and explore the majestic invisible scaffolding that truly holds our reality together. For most of human history, astronomers firmly believed that the glowing stars, the swirling clouds of cosmic dust, and the radiant galaxies represented the absolute entirety of cosmic mass. We thought that by simply counting the luminous objects in the deep, quiet night sky, we could perfectly calculate the gravitational weight of the entire cosmos. But when brilliant scientists began to carefully measure how fast galaxies were actually spinning, they discovered a profound, terrifying paradox that completely shattered our intuitive understanding of the physical world. They realized that galaxies rotate in strange ways that would be absolutely impossible if they only contain the matter we can actually see. The ancient stars on the outer edges of these magnificent spiral structures are moving at such incomprehensible speeds that they should, by all the known laws of classical physics, be violently flung out into the freezing, empty void of intergalactic space. The visible mass of the stars alone simply does not generate nearly enough gravitational pull to hold the galaxy together. The two numbers do not match. There is far more gravity than the visible matter can ever logically account for. The universe was hiding a massive, invisible secret in the quiet dark. The rigorous scientific solution to this breathtaking cosmic mystery, according to most modern astronomers, is that our visible reality is completely surrounded and permeated by vast unseen halos of something we call dark matter. Dark matter is undeniably one of the absolute greatest mysteries in all of modern physics. We cannot see it with our biological eyes or our most advanced telescopes, because it does not emit light and it does not absorb light. It is a ghost-like substance that does not interact with normal matter in any way we can directly perceive, except through the gentle, persistent pull of gravity. Yet, this invisible phantom is the true, undisputed master of the cosmos. In a typical spiral galaxy like our own beautiful Milky Way, dark matter mathematically accounts for about 90% of the total mass. The radiant stars, the colorful gas, the ancient dust, and the fragile planets that we can actually observe are just a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of what is really there. To truly grasp the staggering, awe-inspiring scale of this invisible reality, we must gently return our thoughts to the most massive cosmic structures ever discovered by human science. Consider again the giant elliptical galaxy known as I-2 1101, sitting like a quiet emperor at the center of the Abel 2029 galaxy cluster. This ancient, fading behemoth is already incredibly massive in visible terms, but its true size is completely hidden in the dark. IC 1101 also possesses a dark matter halo, and it is correspondingly enormous. Scientists carefully estimate that the total mass of IC 1101, including its vast ocean of invisible dark matter, could be as unimaginably high as 1,100 trillion solar masses. That is roughly 100 times more massive than our entire Milky Way galaxy. This invisible dark matter halo extends far, far beyond the visible stars of the galaxy. While the glowing stellar body of IC 1101 is already 4 million to 6 million light-years across, some rigorous mathematical models suggest its unseen halo could reach out tens of millions of light-years, making the complete, true structure of this giant truly mind-boggling. The proven existence of dark matter teaches us a profound, humbling lesson about the severe limitations of our human perception. It proves, with absolute mathematical and observational certainty, that the overwhelming majority of the universe operates entirely outside of our ability to see it. The physical world we can touch, the bodies we inhabit, and the biological brains we use to process our reality are merely the glowing 1% tip of a colossal cosmic iceberg. Why, then, do we assume with such heavy, terrifying certainty that the phenomenon of consciousness is strictly limited to the visible, measurable realm of biological matter? If the entire architecture of the cosmos, the very gravitational scaffolding that prevents galaxies from tearing themselves apart, is entirely invisible and untouchable, it is deeply logical, even scientifically harmonious, to wonder if the fundamental architecture of the mind is similarly composed of unseen, underlying cosmic structures. We restrict our definition of life to what we can gently place under a microscope, completely ignoring the invisible 90% of reality that permanently holds the entire universe together. When the physical body eventually stops functioning, we witness the breakdown of the visible 1% structure. We see the fragile biological receiver slowly lose its capacity to hold the spark of awareness. But we do not see, and cannot currently measure, the underlying quantum fields and the invisible informational architecture that may have been deeply supporting that consciousness all along, just as we cannot see the dark matter that gently cradles the 100 trillion ancient stars of IC 1101. We cannot see the intricate quantum entanglement that binds your subjective awareness to the vast, shimmering fabric of space-time. The sudden absence of localized biological activity does not definitively prove the absolute erasure of the mind, any more than the dark, empty spaces between the stars prove the absolute absence of gravity. The invisible world is not a void of nothingness. It is the absolute heaviest, most influential part of reality. Your existence is a delicate, beautiful interplay between the visible matter of your body and the invisible quantum rules of the infinite universe. When you experience a sudden moment of profound awe, a quiet surge of unconditional love, or a deeply peaceful realization of your own smallness in the face of the infinite cosmos, you are feeling the gentle pull of forces that transcend simple biology. You are actively interacting with the hidden depths of the universe. The terrifying transition we humans call death may simply be the quiet, peaceful moment when the visible portion of our existence falls away, allowing the indestructible quantum information of our consciousness to fully merge with the invisible 90% of reality that has been secretly holding us together since the very moment of our birth. We are not strangers in this strange universe, wandering aimlessly until we are permanently extinguished by the cold. We are intricately, permanently woven into its most mysterious, unseen depths. The universe goes to incomprehensible lengths to build and protect its structures, utilizing vast oceans of invisible mass to gently hold trillions of stars together in a perfect, slow, cosmic dance. It is mathematically and philosophically beautiful to trust that this exact same ancient, preserving force extends to the delicate quantum signature of your observing mind. The silence of the unseen world is not empty. It is a rich, vibrant tapestry of infinite preservation. As we breathe in this vast, comforting perspective, let the heavy, localized fears of your visible mortality simply melt away into the gentle, starlit breeze of a universe that is far deeper, far more mysterious, and infinitely more protective than our fragile human eyes will ever be able to see. You are perfectly safe in the dark, because the dark is the very foundation of everything that has ever been. We are on an infinite journey of transformation, passing seamlessly from the narrow band of visible light into the magnificent eternal embrace of the unseen cosmos. Our consciousness, much like the invisible mass that quietly holds the giant galaxies in their majestic orbits, is an essential, permanent feature of the universe. It is a quiet, beautiful truth that allows us to look up at the night sky, not with fear of the unknown, but with a profound, peaceful recognition of our true, eternal home. Have you ever sat quietly on a chilly autumn afternoon, watching a single, delicate golden leaf gently detach from an ancient branch and drift slowly toward the damp earth, and felt a sudden, profound sense of melancholy for the inevitable end of all beautiful things? We are biologically programmed to fear endings. We witness the changing of the seasons, the crumbling of ancient stone monuments, and the gentle fading of our own physical bodies, and we project this localized experience of decay onto the grand, infinite canvas of the entire cosmos. We assume that because our fragile human lives possess a definitive conclusion, the universe itself must also be marching relentlessly toward a terrifying, absolute death. A final curtain call where all consciousness, all memory, and all meaning are permanently erased by the encroaching dark. But what if the ultimate destiny of the cosmos is not a tragic, empty conclusion, but rather a breathtaking, eternal state of perfect quantum equilibrium? What if the slow winding down of the visible universe is merely the quiet preparation for a state of existence so profound, so deeply peaceful, that our current biological minds cannot even begin to comprehend its majestic beauty? Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply, profoundly humbled that you have chosen to continue this gentle, meditative journey through the cosmos with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this quiet exploration of the infinite unknown have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a deep, resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the vast universe, Please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wondering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently step forward into the deepest, most distant future imaginable and discover the beautiful truth about the end of time. To understand this ultimate cosmic destiny, we must return to the grandest scales of reality. Let us revisit the magnificent, fading giant IC 1101, sitting quietly in the center of the Abel 2029 galaxy cluster. This colossal empire is already a dying galaxy, a quiet giant slowly fading into the cosmic night. Over the next 100 trillion years, a span of time so vast it completely beggars the human imagination, the stars within IC 1101, and indeed the stars in every galaxy across the entire observable universe, will slowly, inevitably burn out. The massive blue stars exploded long ago. The middle-sized stars, much like our own radiant sun, will puff up into red giants, beautifully shed their outer layers, and then fade away as cold, silent, white dwarfs. Even the very smallest, longest-lived stars in the cosmos, the tiny red dwarfs that burn their nuclear fuel so incredibly slowly they can shine for trillions of years, will eventually exhaust their primordial hydrogen and go completely dark. Scientists rigorously estimate that the active formation of new stars in the universe will effectively cease entirely in about 100 trillion years. By that unfathomably distant epoch, the raw gas and dust needed to forge new stars will have been completely used up or dispersed too thinly by the expanding void to ever collapse again. No new stars will be born to replace the ones that have died, and the grand, glorious era of starlight will be definitively over. The universe will grow dimmer and dimmer. Over time, scales that make the current age of the cosmos seem like the mere blink of an eye. Where once there was a blinding blaze of stellar light, there will eventually be nothing but the cold, dark, silent remnants of dead stars drifting through an ever-expanding, ever-cooling void. This stage of cosmic evolution is known to physicists as the Degenerate era, a time when the universe is populated entirely by the ghostly corpses of stars rather than by living, burning suns. But even this unimaginably dark, quiet period is not the absolute end of the majestic story. Over even longer time scales, measured in years with so many zeros that simply writing them out would fill thousands of pages, even these silent, stellar corpses will completely decay. White dwarfs will slowly cool until they become black dwarfs, objects that no longer emit any light at all. And what of the absolute monsters of the dark, the supermassive black holes, like the one resting at the heart of IC 1101, containing perhaps 50 billion solar masses? As the brilliant Stephen Hawking proved, they too are mortal. Through the delicate quantum mechanical process of Hawking radiation, these black holes will slowly, relentlessly evaporate, leaking their immense energy back into the silent cosmos over immense time spans. A black hole of that staggering magnitude would take something like 1 Google years to evaporate, a number written as a one followed by 100 zeros. To write out that number in full would require more paper than exists on Earth. It is a span of time so incredibly vast that everything we have discussed so far, from the fiery Big Bang to the quiet death of the very last stars, is not even a microscopic rounding error by comparison. But eventually, even the absolute largest black holes will radiate away their very last bit of energy and disappear from the universe in a final, invisible burst of quantum radiation. When that incredibly distant moment finally arrives, there will be nothing left of galaxies like IC 1101 at all. No stars, no black holes, no structural remnants of any kind. Just the fundamental subatomic particles and background radiation spreading out infinitely through an ever-expanding, ever-cooling, ever-darkening universe. The largest galaxy we have ever found will have followed the same ultimate path as every other structure in the cosmos, dissolving into the endless night. This ultimate, quiet destiny is known in classical thermodynamics as the heat death of the universe. To our highly structured, biology-driven human minds, this vision of the far future might seem incredibly bleak, a terrifying descent into absolute, inescapable nothingness. But I invite you to gently shift your perspective, to look at this eternal quiet not as a tragedy, but as the ultimate, majestic triumph of the quantum realm. Remember the absolute, unbreakable law we discussed in our earlier meditations. Quantum information can never be destroyed. The heat death of the universe is not the complete erasure of information. It is the ultimate, perfect distribution of it, the incredibly complex quantum signature of your consciousness, the quiet memories of every single human being who ever lived, the delicate, intricate structure of every leaf that ever fell, and the brilliant light of every star that ever burned will not be lost. They will be seamlessly, perfectly integrated into the fundamental, invisible background radiation of the entire cosmos. The universe will not be dead. It will be in a state of absolute, perfect quantum equilibrium. It will be a vast, infinite, silent ocean of pure, undisturbed potential, holding the perfect, complete memory of everything that has ever occurred within its boundaries. When you deeply fear the end of your localized biological life, you are essentially fearing the loss of physical structure. You are terrified of the transition from a highly ordered biological machine into a more diffuse, spread-out state of being. But the fundamental essence of what you truly are, the delicate quantum information that actively allows you to experience the profound wonder of existence, does not require a fragile biological brain to persist forever in the universe. It simply requires the universe itself. In the grand, unfathomable sweep of cosmic time, the era of burning stars and biological life is just a brief, beautiful, passing phase, a temporary flowering of intense complexity wedged gently between the fiery chaos of the early universe and the deep, cold, peaceful emptiness of the far future. We are incredibly, profoundly lucky to exist during this beautiful flowering, to have evolved intelligence, built telescopes, and pointed them at the quiet night sky to ask these monumental questions. In all the vast history of the universe, stretching from the Big Bang to the final heat death, this exact moment, right now, is incredibly special. But our temporary biological nature does not make our fundamental quantum existence temporary. You are a permanent, beautiful mathematical truth written directly into the very fabric of reality. The heat death of the universe is simply the moment the great cosmic symphony finally resolves its last lingering chord, leaving the infinite concert hall to resonate eternally with the perfect, unbreakable memory of the music. You are perfectly safe in the dark, because the dark is the ultimate keeper of all cosmic secrets. The silence that follows is not a terrifying void. It is a profound, eternal peace. And as you prepare to close your eyes tonight, remember that you are an indestructible part of this magnificent story, forever held in the gentle, ancient embrace of the infinite. Have you ever looked deeply into the mirror, past the familiar lines of your face, past the color of your eyes, and tried to catch a glimpse of the invisible observer looking back? We spend our entire fleeting human lives desperately trying to define who and what we are. We build elaborate identities, we construct towering cities, and we weave complex narratives about our individual separateness from the natural world. We view ourselves as tiny, isolated passengers temporarily riding on a lonely rock through a cold, indifferent, and incredibly dangerous cosmic void. We fear the end of our biological journey because we believe it represents the ultimate, terrifying eviction from the only home we have ever known. But what if this profound sense of alienation is the greatest illusion ever cast upon the human mind? What if you are not a stranger wandering through a hostile universe, but rather the exact opposite? What if your conscious awareness is the very pinnacle of cosmic evolution, the specific, magnificent mechanism through which a 14-billion-year-old universe has finally learned to open its eyes, look at its own beautiful hands, and whisper its own name? As we reach the quiet, contemplative summit of our long journey together, I invite you to leave behind the heavy, frightening illusion of your isolation and step gently into the breathtaking, scientifically rigorous reality of your absolute cosmic belonging. Hello once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply, profoundly humbled that you have walked this entire, magnificent path of cosmic discovery with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch these videos and share in this quiet exploration of the infinite unknown have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you have found peace, intellectual safety, and a deep, resonant sense of wonder in these gentle explorations of the vast universe, please consider subscribing. It helps immensely and allows us to continue wandering together in this quiet, shared space. Now, let us gently step into the final, most profound mystery of all and discover the beautiful truth about why you are truly here. To truly understand the magnificent, indestructible nature of your own consciousness, we must look at the incredibly precise mathematical foundation of the cosmos. For centuries, classical science portrayed the universe as a random explosion of mindless matter, a chaotic collision of atoms governed by blind forces. In this lonely paradigm, the emergence of biological life and subjective awareness was seen as an incredibly lucky statistical anomaly. We were viewed as a random cosmic accident, a fleeting spark destined to be snuffed out by the encroaching dark. But as modern physics delved deeper into the fundamental constants of nature, a profoundly different picture emerged. Scientists discovered that the universe is governed by a set of incredibly specific numbers, such as the exact strength of gravity and the delicate balance of nuclear forces. These numbers dictate exactly how reality physically operates. The breathtaking revelation that has stunned the greatest theoretical minds is that these fundamental constants are perfectly, miraculously balanced to allow for the existence of complex matter, burning stars, and ultimately, conscious life. If the invisible force of gravity were even slightly stronger, the entire universe would have violently collapsed back upon itself billions of years ago, crushing any potential for life. If gravity were slightly weaker, the primordial gas and dust would have expanded too rapidly, completely failing to gather into the magnificent galaxies and warm suns that provide the essential energy for biology. If the mass of the tiny neutron were just a microscopic fraction larger, atoms could not stably exist, and the complex carbon-based chemistry that makes up your thinking brain would be mathematically impossible. The entire architecture of the cosmos, stretching across billions of light years and containing 2 trillion galaxies, appears perfectly fine-tuned to allow conscious observers to emerge from the dark. This staggering observation has given rise to the strong anthropic principle, which gently suggests that the universe must possess the specific properties that allow life to develop, because if it did not, there would be no one here to observe it. The great theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler took this concept even further, weaving it seamlessly into the counterintuitive magic of the quantum realm. As we explored earlier, quantum mechanics dictates that fundamental particles exist in a shimmering haze of probability, remaining in an unresolved state of superposition until they are actively measured by an observer. Wheeler proposed the concept of a participatory universe, suggesting that the cosmos itself exists in an undefined quantum state until an observer arises within it to collapse the wave function and render reality solid. In this profoundly beautiful, meditative view, the universe absolutely requires your consciousness in order to physically exist. You are not a random, insignificant accident. You are the necessary culmination of 14 billion years of cosmic evolution, the ancient, primordial hydrogen forged in the fiery chaos of the Big Bang spent billions of years cooking in the nuclear furnaces of giant, dying stars. Those stars exploded, scattering their precious heavy elements across the empty void. That stardust gently gathered to form rocky planets orbiting stable suns. On one of those tiny blue worlds, the chemistry grew incredibly complex, eventually organizing itself into the highly intricate structure of the human brain. And through that magnificent biological receiver, the universe finally woke up. When you look up at the deep, quiet night sky and feel an overwhelming sense of awe and wonder, that is not merely a human emotion. That is the universe itself, looking back at its own infinite, ancient majesty. The legendary astronomer Carl Sagan captured this profound scientific truth perfectly when he famously whispered that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. If you are the universe experiencing itself, the terrifying concept of physical death must be completely re-evaluated. We suffer deeply because we mistakenly identify solely with the fragile biological lens through which we are currently looking. We believe we are nothing more than the physical brain and the beating heart. When those localized mechanisms eventually fail, we assume our entire existence is erased from reality. But this is exactly like believing the vast ocean ceases to exist simply because a single, fragile wave has gently crashed upon the shore. The wave loses its localized shape, but the water itself remains indestructible, pulling softly back into the deep currents of the sea. Your consciousness is that temporary wave, a localized expression of an infinite, eternal quantum field of awareness that permeates the entire cosmos. As we have rigorously explored throughout this long, quiet journey together, the fundamental laws of physics offer an ironclad, mathematical guarantee of your permanence. The principle of the conservation of quantum information dictates that the highly complex, uniquely beautiful quantum signature of your mind can never, under any circumstances, be completely destroyed. It cannot be erased by the terrifying crush of a supermassive black hole. It cannot be torn apart by the accelerating expansion of dark energy, and it will not be lost even in the unimaginably distant, freezing epoch of the universe's final heat death. Your existence is recorded with absolute, microscopic perfection in the indestructible ledger of space-time. The massive, invisible halos of dark matter that quietly hold the largest galaxies together remind us that the unseen world is far more powerful and far more permanent than the fragile, visible matter we cling to. When the physical body rests, the quantum information of your soul simply merges seamlessly back into that vast, invisible, ancient architecture. The transition we call death is not a terrifying plunge into a cold, empty void. You trade the narrow, restricted vision of the localized biological brain for the infinite, boundless perspective of the cosmic whole. You return to the ancient, quiet starlight from which you originally emerged, forever entangled with the vast, shimmering fabric of a universe that is completely, overwhelmingly full of life, memory, and profound, eternal peace. Thank you for walking this profound path of discovery with me, for opening your mind to the gentle mysteries of the cosmos, and for sharing your quiet, inquisitive spirit in this peaceful space. I wish you a deeply peaceful, restorative rest, and a heart completely free of the fear of the unknown. Keep looking up, keep asking beautiful questions, and always remember your true, eternal place among the ancient, silent stars.